Good afternoon, everyone. This is my first video since the Haney Garcia fight, the much talked about fight with Haney Garcia. 9 times out of 10 when I do a video, many of the times I'll watch it back and there will be things that I forgot to say. You know, I'm still relatively new to talking to a camera and making videos, and 9 times out of 10 I watch a video back and I think, fuck, I meant to say that, I should have said that, and they're not. I feel they're a little bit incomplete because I've forgotten stuff. So I wrote these down. I'm going to read it to you, and like I say, the reason for doing this is just so that I don't forget anything whilst relaying my thoughts, okay? First off, I'm fine with admitting I got it utterly and completely wrong in terms of the result. All I can say is for the thousands of people online who post-fight said they always knew Garcia would win and Haney was overrated, is I didn't see even a tenth of you vocalising that beforehand. If you picked Garcia before the fight, then you weren't using boxing logic and you weren't using the evidence that was on hand going on their previous performances. The likes of myself, Teddy Atlas, Paulie Malignaggi, G-Man, the illustrious Joe Stunner, the list goes on. We all picked Haney. All form and boxing logic pointed to a Haney win, and that's why almost unanimously Haney was favourite. In terms of my evaluation of Garcia's behaviour, I stand by everything he said, everything I said. I don't think it was a master ruse by Garcia. I don't think it was a calculated con. I think his character is as unorthodox as I said it was. To those people who said he shouldn't be allowed to fight, I disagreed. I believe he should have been allowed to fight. Just because he's an extreme eccentric doesn't mean he's unfit to fight. Now, congratulations to Ryan. He beat the shit out of Haney, basically. Facts. But we must talk about the weight. Anyone who's boxed and tried to make weight or had to make weight, or anyone who's even tried to lose a large amount of weight, the top end of the weight comes off really easy. The bottom end of the weight, that last 5%, is massively hard. Some people can't even shift that last amount, and it's that last amount that almost kills fighters when trying to make weight. For everyone who has no problem with Garcia not even trying to make the weight, and for those who say Haney is a weight bully, the difference is this. Even in the fights where Haney was considered the weight bully, he still made the weight. He still went through the process. Both parties agreed to a weight. Both parties made the weight. In this fight, Ryan agreed to the weight and then had no intention of making it. He even admitted it via a tweet. That's the difference. People will then bring up rehydration. Rehydration doesn't repair all the damage done making the weight initially. And the difference between two guys, one making the weight and one guy not even trying to make the weight and not going through the process, is massive. For the people who say Haney accepted the payment from Garcia for every pound that he was over, so that makes it all right. In a sense, okay, he's accepting it, but you're missing the point. Haney accepting the money still doesn't negate the massively unfair advantage Ryan had and the massive disadvantage that Haney had in making the weight. Again, this is not me being a Haney sympathiser or a Garcia hater. I'm just giving you the facts. Given factual context, he's not making excuses or crying after the fact. For those who would argue that Haney should have just pulled out, on a production of this size and magnitude, it's just not realistic for a fighter to ditch it in the final hour. Now, maybe if Haney had, definite information by maybe Garcia's camp that he had no plans of making the weight a week or two out, maybe it would have been different. Maybe Haney would have pulled himself. Now, I'm not saying the weight and the making the weight and Ryan not making the weight was the sole reason for the loss. But Ryan had a massive advantage and a blatant disregard for the rules and was essentially cheating, like it or not. The fragility of Haney was shocking, but he never showed the same fragility against Regis Prograis, but then Prograis had gone through the weight-making process. Garcia hadn't. It evens the playing field. Ryan even tweeted he had no intention of making the weight because, in his words, he wasn't going to come in weak, whilst putting on a large bet on himself. So, having blatant disregard for the weight-making process, saying you're not going to come in weak by design, and then putting a large bet on yourself, in my books, is badly wrong. Listen, I don't even blame Ryan. If you're going to be allowed to get away with it, then some guys are going to do it. It says more about the problems that exist within our sport than it does anything else. Doesn't make it right, and it doesn't make it fair. It definitely shouldn't be celebrated. Contrary to what some of you may think, I'm not a Garcia hater. I made a video about Garcia's long-form interview on the PBD podcast. I told all of you to go and watch it. How many of you did? I didn't have a personal favourite based on my emotional feelings towards either of these fighters. I had a favourite based on the objective evidence we gathered. The fight itself. Camp Haney were guilty of giving Ryan's ability no respect at all, and many of us all did the same, believing that Haney had way too many skills and a better boxing IQ than the seemingly mental Garcia. They, like the majority of us, felt this was an easy fight and possibly even an implosion by Garcia. Maybe they got caught up in the pre-fight madness that Garcia displayed. Garcia's main weapon, the left hook, was almost completely overlooked by Devin. Why is a mystery? His hand placement was another mystery. Electing to hold his right hand in front of his face to block the jab, rather than being on the phone, as he should have been, against a left hook threat. So every time holding that out in front, when Garcia just decided to hook off the jab or even feint and then come round with a jab, there's a big gap round the side. You know, real amateur stuff. Everything he could have done wrong, he did wrong. Stayed in the pocket too long, stood in range in front of Ryan, electing to punch with a puncher. You know, suicidal. Box to your strengths. Be yourself, not who you want to be. This is a fight where Haney had to adapt early after getting hurt early, in a way that Mayweather did against Mosley. He couldn't. I said previously that I thought Haney could be the closest thing this generation sees to a Floyd. I got it wrong. I'm fine with being wrong. Haney couldn't adapt. Haney didn't have any punch resistance. Fact. Haney did, however, show heart. He kept getting up. For everyone that said he was holding excessively, he was. Of course he was. He was trying to survive. Nonetheless, he didn't quit. When his situation was dire and going badly south, he didn't quit. Let's be comparative. Against Tank, when Ryan's situation was similar, he decided to sit down. Facts. Can Haney come back? Look, possibly. Malignaggi took a huge beating against Miguel Cotto, one of my favourite fighters, Miguel Cotto. He went on to win titles after that. He needs to fight at a weight that doesn't kill him first. He needs to have a plan B for when plan A fails. For Ryan, he was a big star already. He's a massive star now. Can he and should he go on treating the rules like they don't exist? No, he shouldn't be allowed to. Ryan will lose more fights because of his style. He's got defensive issues. He still turns his back on opponents, which is again against the rules. He does have great hand speed and he does have great power. I think Ryan can be a better fighter than what he is. Whether Ryan thinks he's the best already because of his ego and because of his belief system, maybe he does. In a way, this could do more harm for Ryan than it could sort of do good. Ryan, in a sense, kind of, in a roundabout way, kind of took this lightly in the way that he approached it. He's admitted as much himself. We'll see. I'd like to see him get better because potentially he can be a lot better than what he is. I'm not a hater. Be interested to see how Ryan goes on in a fight going forward where he's in a situation where he gets a gut check and he has to make the decision consciously, sit down or carry on and stand up and fight. Because his previous test, he failed. He sat down. Ryan's just done another at-length interview on the PBD podcast, come out in the last few days. I've watched sort of excerpts. I've kind of watched about a quarter of it, and I'm going to watch the rest when I get time. I urge all of you, as I did with the first one, to go and watch it. You get a far better understanding of someone's psyche, someone's personality, and someone's sort of cognitive process when you watch them in sort of an hour and a half sit down where they start to relax and unravel a little bit than you do in a 5-minute interview. This is one of the reasons why all the behaviour leading into the fight, I didn't believe he should be stopped and not allowed to fight. I believed he should be allowed to fight. Because on the evidence of what I've seen, over the content I'd seen in long-form interviews, I hadn't really seen anything I hadn't really seen before. All the characteristics and the mannerisms were there. And that's why I believe he should be allowed to fight. But again, as I did with the first one, I urge you all to watch it. Anyway, that's my thoughts. That's my feelings. I'll see you all soon. Let me know what you think.